United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Definitely like how that sounds with a room full of people. Thank you for coming this evening. Appreciate it. Go ahead and call the roll.
Trustee Spurling.
Here.
Trustee Lee. Yes. Trustee Youngerman.
Here.
Excuse me, Trustee Heinz. And Trustee Youngerman.
Here.
Trustee Marisak.
Here.
And Trustee Bond.
Here.
Okay. All right, moving on. We do have a quorum this evening. Under public participation, we have the public comment period. It's a 2-minute opportunity for any member of the public to come address the board on any topic. All here for the swearing in then. Oh, all right.
Come down.
Yeah, you can come down to the podium. If you can write your name and address down so we have that. Just state your name for us as well,
Chad Davis.
Chad.
I'm here on the question of backyard chickens. Recently, my neighbor has put up a chicken coop in her backyard, and the fencing of this chicken coop is just made up of wire fencing with 6-foot poles. It has some material over top so the hawks don't go in there and get it, and the chicken coop is made up of a Rubbermaid shed. So the fencing itself is within 7 feet of my property line. The chicken coop is probably within 12 or 13 feet of my property line. And she currently has 18 chickens running around within roughly a 10 by 10 area. So is there some kind of fencing regulation, or is there some kind of regulation against having backyard chickens in the village of Montgomery, in the Foxmore subdivision?
Yes, and this isn't a debate, but if you had anything else to add, then I will ask staff just to comment on it.
Okay. Well, I mean, I just had a few questions, like how many chickens are actually allowed, the difference between a service animal and a emotional support chicken. Is this going to affect my property value and my taxes? What kind of conditions or documentation do you need to have in order to have a companion chicken living in your backyard?
Okay. Well, I really appreciate it. I have briefly talked to the administrator about that, but Director Young, do you have anything that you can add at this time? We'll definitely look into this.
Well, I'm still kind of looking into it. I was made aware of this yesterday. And then this morning I found out that there was a document from a doctor or a therapist regarding service animals, and that chickens, I believe, are part of that group. And this particular therapist said that it was required to have 6 for this individual as a service animal. So we're still looking into it from a zoning perspective. Overall, I believe that without the service designation, chickens would not be allowed within the village. So we're kind of looking into what, if anything, we can do to further regulate the ones that are on this lot with this counselor's information. So we're kind of in the middle of it right now. We believe that this is an exception to the code that would be allowed, but I share the concern of the resident regarding how many and proximity to adjacent property.
Okay. All right, well, he'll investigate and get back to you directly, but then I'll also kind of update the board at some point in the future.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Chad. Anyone else for public comment? Oh, sorry.
Hello, my name is Sarah Klosterman, and I am also here on the chicken issue. Returning home from the happiest place on earth, Disney World, I was shocked and appalled to find a minimum of 18 chickens running around outside this very unsightly-looking pen. I was also shocked to go online and see through social media that there are more inside the home that are planning to come out. When I first thought of that, my first initial thought is my children. I have an 8-month-old daughter and a 3-year-old. My 8-month-old is tiny, maybe 20 pounds. I'm afraid that I can't take her outside this summer because if I put her on a beach towel, there could be hawks circling and kid, chicken, roughly the same size at this point. I also became afraid of the sanitation. If they're not properly taking care of such thing, which I know the city laws take into consideration because that's why we're not allowed to have chickens in our residential backyards, if they're not properly disposing of their waste, it can cause spores to go into the air. My daughter's having surgery for a birth defect on Thursday. I never thought I'd have the fear of bringing her home, and the recycled air coming in from outside or taking her out for a little bit of sun is now going to pose an issue. Is she going to get an infection from this? Quantity. I did hear rumors about support, emotional support, service animal. I can understand that. However, the ADA of Illinois does not recognize emotional support animals. The only reason they would support a service animal is for a specific task. So I really hope that the city severely considers what that task is and who's benefiting more. That person from having a support animal, which we know that the city of Chicago and Illinois is actually handing out a lot of false prescriptions for said animals so people can take them on planes and into restaurants. This is my children I'm worried about. I understand the purpose and intent, but I really hope that the city steps forward on our behalf to make sure that this is not an abuse of such animals, that through social media, it tells me that she is just trying to persuade you through other means to get what she wants, which is to live on a farm and have chickens free-ranging and her husband hunting, and those are lovely dreams that I fully support, but not when we are living on 50-foot wide homes. Please, please, the hawks, the minks, the coyotes, the flies, all the varmint that these things will bring, the sanitation, the safety, quantity, if it's supported, please, please think about the regulations you're setting, because we're all going to have to live with it. It could be your neighbor next. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you, Sarah, appreciate it.
Does-
Could we bring that up on next meeting on a discussion item? Because it seems like it's more than just between him and our building department. Somebody else is going to get the same idea, I'm sure. And then they're going to say that the raccoons and the foxes and the coyotes that come in are service pets along with the chickens. I mean, it just, I'd like to have a full discussion on it.
Yeah, well, let's have staff investigate kind of what our limits are on this, and then we'll see if it warrants a board discussion, we'll talk about it. Otherwise, if there's, if there's a way to remedy that. But either way, we'll update, we'll talk about it in the future.
Does staff know what the issue is where this individual needs to support chicken? I mean,
The letter that I had from a counselor that I saw this morning requesting or allowing chickens as service animals was from the VA. So I'm assuming it's something to do with Veterans Affairs. But I don't know anything more than that.
so the neighbors could get a service coyote if they wanted.
Basically, yeah.
Well, let's have a full discussion on it. but
I
let's
can't
look into
answer
it
that,
first.
I can't
Yeah.
answer that.
Okay, thank you, and I appreciate you bringing that to our attention, and we will discuss it.
My pleasure. If I can share this with him so he can have it for his records.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. All right, anyone else for public comment? All right, move on to item B, which is the swearing in of Police Chief Philip J. Smith. I'm hoping J is your middle initial? Yes. All right, so we got that out of the way. With that, I'll turn it over to, all right,
Come on over here, sir.
didn't want you to have to introduce yourself.
I can make you introduce yourself, all right. I say most everybody here knows who this man is, that's why he's here. This is our new chief, Phil Smith. Chief Smith comes to us most recently from the Village of Berkeley, where he served as the chief there for the past 4 years. Prior to that, he was with Kendall County for more than 20 years. I'll pause, I don't know who all you have here, so if you'd like to introduce,
You might take me a while.
you go for it.
Okay, thanks all for coming. I know you're not all here for me, but I will start out with some very important people in my life. The young lady right in the middle there is my daughter Alexandra. She's a college student. She's an accounting major. Right next to her is my son Robert. He's a graduate of North Central out of Naperville.
Good choice right
This
there.
lovely young lady right here is the love of my life. This is Mary. I think most of you have met her. There's Jake here. This is her granddaughter, Rylan, Kristen, BJ, and Jessica. And this, of course, Dave. These young people over here are some of my good friends. It's Austin and Marshall. Marshall is the deputy at the sheriff's office. Thanks for coming, guys. This old-looking dude right here is one of my best friends. This is Rich Hardy's chief of police of Yorkville. Rich and I were in the Army together, and his lovely bride next to him, I did stand up in the wedding. But thank you guys for coming. It was great. Pete, Tim, the young guys here. If you don't know, this is two honorable gentlemen, Grant Wagner and our chief judge currently, Tim McCann. Next to him is Devin Mike Peters. The young guy with a lot of hair over there. One of my best friends, that's the Honorable Dwight Beard. He's the Kendall County Sheriff. If you don't know him, Dwight has been there for my good days, my bad days. One of the guys is always taking care of me. Of course, Oswego, paramedics, firefighters, a bunch of the police officers from Montgomery, all the great staff here. We come down here, more Oswego firefighters. This is Jason Langston, commander of the Kendall County Sheriff's Office. Dan, how you been? You guys can't get away, can you? I don't know if you know this gentleman, and his beautiful daughter, Sam. Some old friends. I appreciate you all for coming out. If I missed anybody, I apologize.
All right. Have you go.
All right, we need more introductions like that.
Nice where you in.
A walk through the room and everything, so.
That was awesome.
All right. Let's do this. All right, want to raise your right hand and repeat after me? I, Philip J. Smith,
I, Philip J. Smith,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge
that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of Chief of
the
Police
duties of Chief of Police
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Welcome. Generally, we invite your friends and family up for a photo. Maybe we could just take it that way. No. But yeah, let's get a photo if that's right. With anybody and everybody that you would like to come down. I should introduce myself. Hi, how are you? Hi, Chris. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you. This could take a while if I shake everybody's hand with us, right? Bob, how you doing? I'm a North Central grad too, so. Awesome. Hi, how are you? Matt. All right, you guys get next time. There you go. How you doing?
I know. Just keep shifting.
All right, look at that. You slide right here, is that all right? All right. Awesome. Good to see you. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, he started on the, oh, man. You know. I have to give him grief about that. I know.
Yeah, no problem. Welcome.
Started on the wrong side. Welcome.
All right, you can stay for the whole meeting, and we won't be offended if you go, though. Certainly understand if you have other things to take care of. I do really appreciate everybody showing up tonight to support our new chief and the Village of Montgomery. Thank you.
Yes, got it. Okay.
All right, if that gets too noisy up there, we just close that door, chief? Perfect. All right. All right, that will move on to the recognition of Officer Kelly Smith and Records Clerk Kim Winkler. With that, I'll turn over to Chief Smith for a summary and the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, when I started a couple of weeks ago, I told Deputy Chief Sanders, you know, I don't want to hear just the bad stuff. I want to hear some of the good stuff. So tonight, I get to bring you guys some good stuff. So recently, in honor of Police Week, the Kendall County Chiefs, along with the Optimist Club from Oswego Land, had a Respect for Law banquet. And some things happened there. We awarded some officers life-saving medals and heroic valor and some other medals. Well, one of our employees, Kimberly Winkler, would you please come down here, was nominated as the Civilian of the Year for the Oswego Land Optimist and the Kendall Chiefs. Now, I'm a firm believer that we always recognize police officers, and it's always about the police officers do good and all that, but we forget sometimes about our staff. Kim's been with the Montgomery Police Department since 2003. She lives with her husband Pete and some kids, but I want to make sure she gets recognized in front of all of you. So this is in honor of Kim, the Law Enforcement Award for Civilian of the Year presented to Kim Winkler, Montgomery Police Department, for distinguished and dedicated service in advancing respect for law and objective, the Optimist International, by the Oswego Land Optimist Club. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
And also, we did give out some awards the other night for life-saving. That only happens once a year. So we had something pretty special happen here last Monday. If you don't know, one of our officers being honored tonight for some exemplary work. And I'd really ask for Officer Kelly Smith to come down here. If you don't know, Kelly's been with the agency for about a year and a half. The other night in the afternoon, on a Monday, Kelly was dispatched to 2400 block of Mayfield. She was dispatched to an infant baby in medical distress. The baby was choking. Kelly, through her expertise, her knowledge of CPR on an infant, was able to dislodge an item by patting the child on the back. I think you may have seen this in the paper recently. So tonight I'd like to read the citation. This is a life-saving award, and this is certified that Officer Kelly N. Smith, for your actions on May 5th while performing duties as a police officer for the Village of Montgomery, responded to an infant medical distress call within the village. Upon arrival at the scene, Officer Smith observed a 4-day-old infant choking in need of medical emergency aid. Officer Smith quickly identified the symptoms and administered life-saving measures to dislodge the item from the infant's throat. Officer Smith's expertise, quick actions were above and well beyond the average police response. In addition, if not for actions, it may have been likely a child would not have survived. She's a credit to herself, the Montgomery Police Department, and all of us in the Village of Montgomery. Congratulations and nicely done.
Let me say real quick, too, that she was on Fox News yesterday, a picture of her and all about what she did.
I saw her on NBC5 this morning, so it's out.
Thank you. Thank you both. Appreciate that. All right, we'll move on to item D. For public participation, we have Brock Rolfsmeyer and Garrett Burke regarding fishing in the Foxmore Basin. Are they here this evening?
Good evening. My son Brock here, we were asked to come in today and talk about some of the fun recreational enjoyment that we got, being able to go fishing in the neighborhood. Brock, we went there on a whim one day, and coincidentally, within like 5 minutes of being there, we thought we were gonna catch some little sunfish right off the little pier, if anybody's familiar with going into that Foxmore neighborhood. A lot of kids consistently on a day-to-day basis fish there. Very convenient and fun, source of enjoyment and, beauty. And we were there for about 5 minutes with probably the smallest worm that we could find and the smallest hook that I could put on his line, thinking we were gonna get some sunfish and bluegill. And 5 minutes later, all of a sudden, he said that his bobber disappeared and he was having troubles holding onto the pole. And I went over there and started telling him to put the drag up a little bit, trying to get him to reel it in. And right as soon as that happened, it snapped his pole, so I had to grab onto it, and he grabbed onto it. I let him crank it in, and as soon as it kind of just hit the surface, all of a sudden we realized we had about a 2-foot bullhead catfish. So it was pretty fun. For him, the excitement, him and his brother, they were jumping around and all excited, trying to figure out how they caught such a big fish. And honestly, it took me a few minutes to remember how to grab a catfish, because I remember getting stuck a few times when I was younger, especially one that I don't think I've ever even caught one something like that size. So came in and, show them a picture and kind of put a face to, the enjoyment and stuff that we do over there.
Awesome. And Brock, how old are you?
How old are you?
45, 46?
Yeah. 46 minus 40.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. You have to tell me what your secret is. I've been fishing for here and on and off for most of my life and haven't caught anything like that. So I really do.
Yeah, me neither. Like I said, tiniest hook you can possibly find. It was pretty much bent straight when we got it out. So I'm kind of surprised it even stayed on. But time for a new pole.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for
Right.
bringing this to our attention too. I would like to come and shake your hand and congratulate you. That's all right.
You shake his hand?
Now the secret's out. People know there's a huge fish in that pond.
Uh-huh.
A lot more people there. Thanks for coming, man. Here, I'll get you.
There you
Awesome.
go.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
He's the one that caught it.
Yeah, come back next time you catch a big one, all right?
Yep, thank you.
All right, thank you. Good job, buddy.
All right, with that, the bulk of the fun is over for the evening, so move on to the regular business here. We have item E, which is proclamation for Police Week, May 13th through the 19th. Read the proclamation, entertain a motion for approval. Proclamation for Peace Officers Memorial Day and National Police Week. Whereas the Congress and President of the United States have designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week. And whereas the members of the law enforcement agency in the Village of Montgomery play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the Village of Montgomery. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of their law enforcement agency, and that members of our law enforcement agency recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression or intimidation. Now therefore, I, Matt Brawley, the village president of Montgomery, call upon all citizens of Montgomery and upon all patriotic, civic, and educational organizations to observe the week of May 13th through 19th, 2018, as Police Week, with the appropriate ceremonies and observances in which all of our people may join in commemorating law enforcement officers, past and present, who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to their communities, and in doing so have established for themselves an enviable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. I further call upon all citizens of Montgomery to observe Tuesday, May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of those law enforcement officers who, through their courageous deeds, have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to their community or have become disabled in the performance of duty. I further direct the flag of the United States to be displayed at half-staff in all village government buildings on May 15th in conformance with the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act of 1994. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Spurling? Yes. Trustee Lee?
Yes.
Trustee Heinz? Trustee Youngerman?
Yay.
Trustee Marisak?
Yes.
And Trustee Bond.
All right. Moving on to the next item, item F, which is proclamation for Lupus Awareness Month. We've been reading this every year for 5 years now, I think. So I'll read this and entertain a motion for approval. Whereas each year, the Lupus Society of Illinois designates May as Lupus Awareness Month to show support for the Illinois residents living with lupus and the thousands more who care for them. And whereas systemic lupus, I'm not going to butcher that, happens when the body's defense system attacks healthy cells and tissue instead of viruses and bacteria, which can damage many parts of the body, such as the joints, skin, kidneys, heart, lungs, blood vessels, and brain. And whereas anyone can get lupus, but it most often affects women. And whereas lupus is also more common among African American, Hispanic, Asian, and Native American women, and whereas symptoms of lupus vary, and they can come and go. The times when a person is having symptoms is called flares, which can range from mild to severe, and new symptoms may appear at any time. And whereas some of the most common symptoms of lupus are pain or swelling in the joints, muscle pain, fever with no known cause, red rashes, most often on the face, chest pain when taking deep breath, hair loss, pale or purple fingers or toes, sensitivity to the sun, swelling in the legs or around the eyes, mouth sores, swollen glands, and feeling very tired. Whereas a 2010 study concluded that both direct healthcare costs and costs associated with changes in work productivity are substantial, and both represent an important contributors to the total costs associated with lupus. Now therefore, I, Matt Brawley, President of the Village of Montgomery, do hereby proclaim May 2018 to be Lupus Awareness Month in the Village of Montgomery, and further encourage all citizens to increase awareness, education, and services for all people affected by lupus. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Trustee Spurling? Yes. Trustee Lee?
Yes.
Trustee Heinz? Trustee Youngerman?
Yes.
Trustee Marisak?
Yes.
And Trustee Bond.
All right, moving on. As you've seen over the last few months, I haven't been reading all of the proclamations, but feel obliged to read all of them tonight for some reason. So I'll go ahead and read the next one and entertain a motion for approval. National Public Works Week, whereas public works services provided in our own community are an integral part of our citizens' everyday lives, and whereas the support of an understanding and informed citizenry is vital to the efficient operation of public works systems and programs such as water treatment and distribution, sanitary sewers, storm sewers, streets and highways, signage and lighting, and whereas the health, safety, and comfort of this community greatly depends on these facilities and services, and whereas the quality and effectiveness of these facilities, as well as their planning, design, and construction, are vitally dependent upon efforts and skills of public works officials. Whereas the efficiency of the qualified and dedicated personnel who staff public works departments is materially influenced by the people's attitude and understanding of the importance of the work they perform. Now therefore, I, Matt Brawley, Montgomery Village President, do hereby proclaim May 20th to 26th, 2018 as National Public Works Week in Montgomery, and call upon all citizens and civic organizations to acquaint themselves with the issues involved in providing our public works and to recognize the contributions which public works officials make every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Trustee Spurling? Yes. Trustee Lee?
Yeah.
Trustee Heinz?
Yay.
Trustee Youngerman?
Yay.
Trustee Marisak?
Yes.
And Trustee Bond.
Yes.
Our citizens and our civic organizations are going to be very busy in May, as it turns out. I'll read the last proclamation, entertain a motion on this one as well. This is National Gun Violence Awareness Day, and whereas every day, 96 Americans are killed by gun violence, with nearly 13,000 gun homicides every year, and Americans are 25 times more likely to be killed with guns than people in other developed countries. And whereas protecting public safety in the communities they serve is a mayor's highest responsibility, and whereas support for the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens goes hand in hand with keeping guns away from dangerous people. And whereas mayors and law enforcement officers know their communities best and are the most familiar with the local criminal activity and how to address it, and are best positioned to understand how to keep their citizens safe. And whereas in January of 2013, Hadia Pendleton, a teenager who marched in President Obama's second inaugural parade, was tragically shot and killed just weeks later, now should be celebrating her 21st birthday. And whereas to help honor Hadia and the 96 Americans whose lives are cut short and the countless survivors who are injured by shootings every day, a National Coalition of Organizations has designated June 1st, 2018, the first Friday in June, as the 4th National Gun Violence Awareness Day. And whereas anyone can join this campaign by pledging to wear orange on Friday, June 1st, the first Friday in June in 2018, to help raise awareness about gun violence. And whereas we renew our commitment to reduce gun violence and pledge to do all we can to keep firearms out of the wrong hands and encourage responsible gun ownership to help keep our children safe. Now therefore, therefore be it resolved, which is exactly how I speak, that Mayor Brawley in the Village of Montgomery declares the first Friday in June, June 1st, 2018, to be National Gun Violence Awareness Day, and encourages all citizens to support their local community's efforts to prevent the tragic effects of gun violence and to honor and value human lives.
I'll move to approve. Trustee Spurling? Yes. Trustee Lee?
Yes.
Trustee Heinz? Trustee Youngerman?
Yes.
Trustee Marisak?
Yes.
And Trustee Bond.
Yes.
All right, I'm done reading. With that, we'll move on to the consent agenda. I guess I'll read the items and entertain a motion for approval. We have minutes of the Village Board meeting of April 23rd, minutes of the Village Board meeting of May 1st, executive session minutes of May 1st, the building report for April of 2018, accounts receivable report for April of 2018, accounts payable for FY 18 through May 10th, and then accounts payable for FY 19 through May 10th, and cancellation of the May 22nd Committee of the Whole meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Call the roll.
Trustee Youngerman?
Yay.
Trustee Marisak?
Yes.
Trustee Bond?
Yes.
Trustee Spurling? Yes. Trustee Lee?
Yes.
And Trustee Heinz?
That carries 6-0, thank you. Items for separate action, we have award of a contract to American Road Maintenance for the 2018 shared use path and miscellaneous village-owned lot seal coat in the amount of $42,948. And I'll ask Engineer Wallers for a summary of the item.
Sure. So this is an item that we bid each year. Typically, we do our municipal parking lots every 3 years. This year, we're picking up some of the smaller sites, the well sites, and different sites throughout the village to make sure that they get protected and maintenance on them. In addition, we then combine our seal coating or coating for the shared use path. So this year, we're doing about 8,800 feet of path, and that's consistent with our maintenance plan that was developed as part of the IRP to be able to do maintenance on all of our bike paths in the 5-year period. So that part of the program is working good. This, as you may recall, we're starting to use a product that's worked very well for us. It's one of the newer pavement management products out there, and it's made by a company called Gilsonite, and it's something that we have had good luck with. We've used it the last few years. We use that in our shared use pass, and we still use conventional seal coat in our parking lots, and we're probably going to make a switch on those eventually. At any rate, there was only one bid received this year, partly, I think, because because of the small nature of our seal coating portion of the project. Normally, we have a bigger seal coating project, so it attracts more bidders. We did come in over engineer's estimate, but it's within the budgeted amount for the program. So we have reviewed the bid. We think it's still to our advantage to move forward and do the work. So we're recommending approval of award tonight, and I'd be happy to take any questions on that.
Any questions for Engineer Wallace?
Yeah, I got a couple. Usually you're real close on your bids, and this isn't real close. And what happened to the guy, since there's only one bid, what happened to the guy that had it, a couple of years ago? This guy we never did business with this guy.
Right, and the reason is that this guy was a subcontractor to the last contractor. So when the seal coat portion is a larger part of the contract, then he would hire this guy as a sub. This year, the seal coat was so much smaller, this person bid it independently. So we may look at a different strategy for next year when we do the project, but we didn't anticipate, I guess, that happening, but that's what did happen.
Okay.
And the shared use path, sorry, you said you had a couple.
Pardon?
You said you had a couple, I'm sorry.
No, that was
Okay.
1, 2, 3, the bid,
Yeah.
why we never used these guys before and why.
So they're the ones that, they must have installed the stuff we did in Lakewood
Yeah.
last year?
Yes,
I like that stuff.
yeah.
So, all right. Any other comments or questions?
One other thing I should have mentioned, one of the other parts that was a little confusing is we're actually reconstructing a portion of the path in Foxmore subdivision where we had a lot of root intrusion and it was irregular surface. And this contractor had budgeted some crack sealing for that area, which we're going to remove from the contract, so.
Yeah, I saw that in there. Okay. All right, is there a motion to approve?
Motion. Second?
Moved and second. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
Trustee Bond.
Yes.
Trustee Spurling.
Yes.
And Trustee Lee.
Yes.
That carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Pete. Item B today is ordinance 1800, amending the village code, sections 6 through 10 regarding mailboxes. This is the second reading. We have, does anybody else have anything else to add on this item? We did see first reading, and I assume there's been no changes to the draft?
No, the only thing we have to say is that we have the check requests ready and letters set to go to the residents explaining the increase from 50 to 75. So upon approval tonight, we will get those processed and mailed out.
Motion to approve?
There you go.
Second?
Any discussion? Call the roll.
Trustee Bond.
Yes.
Trustee Spurling.
Yes.
Trustee Lee.
Yes.
Trustee Heinz. Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
And Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
That carries
How
6-0.
many were there again? I missed that.
How many mailboxes?
Yeah, the letter you sent.
I don't know how many we have. I know that finance has them ready to go. They've processed them. So, but I can get you the number.
150, I think.
Well, I mean, that's how many we knocked down. I don't know if they all qualified, so that's why I'm not sure. I mean, it's roughly 150 that we took out that were damaged.
That's fine.
Okay.
Not even a bad winter. I'm sure we can do better than that next year. We can get it up to 200.
All right. Thank you. Moving on to item C, we have ordinance 1799. This is authorizing the purchase of real property at 1335 Amber Drive. This is first reading. That'll turn it over to Attorney Julian for a summary of the item.
Sure, and I'll ask Director Young to weigh in if there's anything that I missed, but in sum, this is a property that's been a nuisance property for a long time. There's a home on it that was foreclosed upon and was in horrible condition, that code enforcement had a number of issues with. And after the foreclosure, the bank realized that they can't resell it because it's in a flood zone and it's an unbuildable lot. So after a lot of back and forth with the bank, they've agreed to sell it to the village for $1. So we just need the board's approval to move forward to acquire that property.
And I just want to clarify, the home is gone, correct? It's been raised already?
Correct. The bank raised the house about a month and a half ago.
Okay, so it's a vacant property.
Yes.
Awesome.
I do have it up on the screen. There were some questions about where it is exactly. You can see Montgomery Road there in Phillips Park on the top of the picture, and then down at the very bottom, you can see Amber there.
That's in that same area of homes that were purchased after the flood.
Correct. Yeah, we own, I think, an adjoining lot to it
Okay.
currently.
So maintenance costs would be relatively low
Yeah,
since
we're
we're already
already out there
mobilized.
mowing the lots that we have.
Okay, okay. Perfect.
Okay. Well, this is first reading. It'll be on for approval at a future meeting.
Can we consent that?
I think we can. Can we do
Everybody's
that?
good with that?
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
We trade that for a proclamation reading?
Moving on to items for discussion, we have outdoor dining from the VFW Post 7452. With that, I know the gentlemen are here, and they're prepared to address the board. Does staff want to kind of give an introduction to the item?
Sure, I can introduce the item. So this is a request from VFW for two things specifically. One is to allow for outdoor dining on their facility, so their liquor license would have to be added through text amendment to the village code. And then secondly, if they're granted that outdoor dining patio area, to also be allowed music to be playing on the patio, which currently under the liquor code, if you have the outdoor patio and the outdoor liquor, you have to request a variance to allow it. So it's not an automatic right to allow music to play. You have to specifically request approval. So that would be the second action item in order to grant this request. So you'd be granting to allow them outdoor dining and then also saying that on the outdoor dining, they can have music. Because currently, if you have outdoor dining, there's a prohibition against allowing music unless you get specific permission to do so.
Is that something that we can decide, or does that have to go back through Plan Commission?
Board approval, because it's not a zoning variance, it's just a
Okay.
variance to the liquor code.
And that's live music or any music?
I believe it reads any music currently.
That headline kind of writes itself, that the
So-
village doesn't allow music outside.
So if we were having dinner outside at the VFW and there was a CD player playing, we're technically in violation?
Correct.
Wow, okay.
Now,
At any outdoor dining.
the attorney's summary indicates a request to have music piped out onto the patio. The letter from the VFW just simply asks for music. I'm a little troubled by the possibility of live bands out there on a frequent basis, and I think maybe that is something we should clarify now.
Yeah, I'll invite you guys up to kind of address that.
So for the music, we're not looking for live bands.
Okay.
We're actually looking just to, in old school terms, have a CD player out there. Just basically just let people play some music out on the pavilion that we already have that's partially enclosed.
Sure.
Not live bands.
Awesome.
Iterate that, or?
Can we make that a part of this so that there's no gray area there?
Well, this is just discussion tonight, so what we would do is, number one, we would do a text amendment to add that, the Class B liquor license to the outdoor dining provision, and then separately, we would draft up sort of a resolution or agreement just granting it's not a true variance because it's not to the zoning code, it's a variance to the liquor code, but we would memorialize that in writing, that this particular liquor license is allowed to have the outdoor music.
We could
So-
say pre-recorded music,
Yes, so we could
not
set those
live music.
limitations in that separate document.
So what class of liquor license does South Moon have? Next door?
G.
And a G allows for that, but a B doesn't. Is that what you're saying?
None of them allow music.
Well, no, I mean
Outdoor
outdoor.
Outdoor dining is G and L, which is
Okay.
catering.
And does anybody else have the B
No.
license?
No.
Okay, so it's
No,
pretty unique.
They have-
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the only
It's
ones.
Not for
specific-
profit.
It's
I think.
specific to the VFW.
Yeah, okay. So that seems, I mean, we allow that for the place next door, so it seems that we would
Are
do
you,
that.
what are you referencing now, the outdoor dining or the,
Serving alcohol outside. So that,
okay.
first, let's discuss that first. How does the
Yeah.
board feel about that?
I'm fine with that.
Perfect.
So my question, just clarification, because obviously you guys have the patio and the picnic tables and stuff. At this point, nobody was going out back drinking?
No, we can't have no,
It can't be outside the building?
correct. We have signs
Okay.
that say no alcohol beyond that point. And a lot of our members are asking to be able to sit out there now that the
Sit
weather's
out.
getting nice and the river's there. And it's always been a request, so we just,
Okay.
Okay.
You're going to have a railing 32 inches around it, like a fence, or is that just the
we
railing
we
in
have,
your
we
patio?
already have that.
Right.
We're talking strictly on that back
Strictly
pavilion.
on the back,
That
okay.
covered pavilion that has the brick wall
Right,
around it.
right.
Not out into the parking lot, just on the patio area that we have. That's it.
Okay.
What's already in place.
And then we don't have, we're just talking about the liquor license and the music. We don't care if they have food out back, or we do care?
Well, they would still have to comply. There's outdoor dining provision, has a number of things that the user would have to comply with, and having food service is one of the things. So they would still have to comply with the railing element, that they can only access it from the interior going out, so you can't have people coming and going externally. There has to be food service, and then the music prohibition, would they'd be requesting be changed for their particular case, and then rules about the containers that, certain types of containers can be used. So that's already in the code. They'd have to abide by everything in the code except for the music variance if that was granted by the board.
Okay. Because it seems like it's actually set up that way already. It would be very easy for you guys to just be serving
Yeah,
food
the-
and
I mean,
alcohol at that point.
The only way is to walk through the hall, through
Right.
inside to get to there. We don't allow people to go out through the front door anyway, already.
And you only have the one in and out, so I'm just saying, it
That's
just
it.
seems.
That's
I-
it right
I guess
there.
I was under the impression you guys had that ability already, so, because it's just set up that way, but, okay.
So you're for it?
Well, yeah.
We're laid out for it, but we're not
Right.
allowed to do it.
So, yeah, it wouldn't be any big, huge change other than a text amendment, no change for you guys to do anything.
And, right.
And so the question of music, did anybody else request this type of variance from the liquor code to ever allow this?
I don't recall anybody, because we've had in there, I'm not sure, what Genesis was, we've had in there from the beginning that it's prohibited, and I don't think
We just have two,
anybody else
right?
has raised.
Riverview and South Moon that have outdoor dining?
South Moon, Niners,
Oh, not, yeah, Niners does.
Big Dog,
Big Dog.
Yeah, they have a
Big Dog is outdoor.
And I'd swear Niners has speakers. I've never heard music, but
I've heard music outside there.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you're right. I think they do have speakers out there.
I just remember seeing them as I was walking out.
But I never
So-
thought that it was a rule.
Right.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Seems a little.
Thank you for opening
That's
Pandora's
what we're here
box.
for.
Ridiculous to me, so.
Is that something we could look at amending?
And another option would be, instead of granting a variation liquor license by liquor license, you could also amend the outdoor dining provision of the code to either omit that or keep it in, but add, or to omit it and then add parameters in if music is allowed.
I think, I'm leaning that way, because why make everybody come back? And
Yeah, and request it. Yeah, my only concern was that we be cognizant of the, noise pollution, like especially on the river, across on the other side, on the east side of the river there. I'm sure those residents who could hear the music late at night, we just want to be cognizant of that.
We're not going to be pumping
You can just shoot it back
loudspeakers out
Yeah.
there, or any DJ equipment or anything of that nature. It's kind of more of a hometown backyard feel
Yep.
that we're going for. We're trying to promote more family activities down there,
Mm-hmm.
so we're not looking to get,
well, then I'm not coming.
yeah. We're not looking to get crazy. We're a
Yeah.
bunch of old men that just looking to relax and have a good time watching, that's all.
Yep, okay. Well, it sounds like the board is very supportive of moving forward with this. We'll draft up some changes and add this to a future meeting for approval.
Thank you all.
Awesome, thanks for coming.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
If you want to dive through our ordinance and find any other obscure regulation,
Right.
all right.
Just-
Well, thank you.
Just to clarify, are we changing the music
Yes.
qualification throughout? Okay, just want to make sure if we're doing the variance,
Well,
if we're
we're
making
fair.
that change.
Well, yeah, because nobody's going to know to come visit us, and
Like I said, I'm guessing that like Niners has no idea that it's not allowed, because why wouldn't it be? You know what I mean? It seems odd that it's not, but
Will this be an ordinance change? Do you want
You should say, as long as it's not jazz. I don't get jazz.
oh, yeah.
Do you want
the
to
new first and second reading?
entertain putting a definition of what's too loud in it.
Yeah, and I believe that there's already certain provisions in force in the village code otherwise for noise, so we can just hone in on that and reiterate it in that provision and tweak it if we believe necessary.
If you can include that in the summary that, we also have this regulation elsewhere, so you couldn't be blaring the music at 10 o'clock at night. Given that it is May and we're meeting again in a few weeks, I'll ask for the board's consent to add this as a waiver of first and passage on the second. If we like it, we can approve it that night and move forward. And if we have changes, we can hold off at that time.
Any concerns from the police on?
Police is pro-music? I think?
Depends on the type of music.
Right, okay. All right.
What do you like?
You have-
Classic rock, country?
You okay with Kenny G?
You have clear direction on that then?
Yes.
Okay. All right, any new or unfinished business?
I have a couple items. You can go first.
I was hoping you
Okay.
would.
I do.
Yeah.
I just want to mention that Friday, the 18th, is Cop on Top for our police department from 5 to noon to help support and raise funds for the Special Olympics for our athletes.
Which Duncan?
At both Duncans,
Okay.
yeah, both. So come eat donuts with the cops.
6 to
Nice.
noon? What time? 5 to noon?
5 to noon.
5 a.m. to noon.
5 a.m. to
I'll
noon.
be out there collecting. I'm out there with them.
I won't be there at 5. I'll come see you, but.
All right,
Yeah, I don't get there at 5 either. I get there a little later, but I'm usually there.
all right.
I have a, I'm sorry, we're
No,
done.
that was it, thank you.
I have a couple of Rotary items that I wanted to share. We recently joined the Adopt a Highway program. Our signs are up. We have the section of Route 30 just east of Orchard up until the bridge. That's our section. The other thing I was going to announce was the flower planting at the VFW. This would be our third year doing that, and thankfully, I had all the players here tonight, and we're going to postpone it. That was supposed to be this Saturday, but we will be postponing that, and you and I need to talk after about that. The other thing that Rotary is doing this week, on Thursday, we are planting some trees at what is known as Concord Park, but nobody knows it as Concord Park. It's the park that's over by Lakewood Creek School. It's the initiative from the Rotary International president, as well as our district. So we are starting, I guess, the first phase of, hopefully that will become a named park, wink, 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 after a couple of years of work. And the other thing I wanted to mention was that Rotary had also established a community garden over at Krug Elementary School, and that has been built out. I believe it is built out at this point, and the kids will be planting. I wanted to publicly recognize Trustee Youngerman, who is also a Rotarian. He was instrumental in getting the garden done through the company he works for. They donated so many different materials. I believe we have 200 plants coming our way for the kids to plant.
250 plants and I think 30 or 40 packets of seed. Plenty.
And then Twin Oaks also donated the dirt, and what were some of the other materials?
The soil, the edging and spikes, the gravel, filter fabric. We worked with Home Depot in North Aurora, was instrumental in being able to provide us materials and working with us. And so it was a group effort, and we're just happy that Twin Oaks was able to be part of it.
I just wanted to publicly thank you, because that was, the donations that came through Twin Oaks really made the project possible. Again, through Trustee Youngerman and Twin Oaks, he's going to get me a couple of trees for the tree planting as well, to get that park going and get our project going, to get some shade trees out there for our Sunday in the park. So again, thank you for being a part of Rotary and getting that done for us.
You're welcome.
That's all I have.
And I just want to thank you for reminding me, and the reminder was, it was
Sorry.
underneath my papers. So also, June 24th is Sunday in the Park. from 4 to 7:30 out at the Lakewood Creek Park, as we affectionately refer to it, because otherwise people don't go to the right place. So we have KC and the Gray as a band. We have some food trucks coming, games, the Park District. EEI is sponsoring and donating ice cream, so we do free ice cream from 4 to 5. And it's just a great time to come out with your family and friends and come out and listen to some music and hang out in the park. The kids can play. We will not be having the Kendall County mounted, I was informed this evening. They're in some transition. They have a couple of members that are leaving, that are moving out of state. So they're in some transition, so we won't be having the one horse. It's not going to be a one pony show. So the Kendall County mounted will
All you
not be
need is a
there.
dog then, right?
You
For
know.
a dog and pony show.
So it's, but yeah, it's going to be a great event. So please mark your calendars, have some friends over for a barbecue and come on out and listen to some music. Thanks.
Thank you.
Real quickly, Merce Farm had 2,000 people there last Sunday, so they had a huge crowd. They had trouble finding parking spots for everybody, so it's their best day ever.
That's awesome. All right. Any other items? Thank you. Future meetings, we have canceled the committee of the whole meeting on the 22nd. And note, the village board meeting has been moved to the day after Memorial Day, on Tuesday, the 29th. So don't show up on Memorial Day. With that, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss the acquisition of real property and to discuss litigation which is filed and pending.
So moved.
Second?
Call the roll.
Trustee Youngerman. Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
Trustee Bond.
Yes.
Trustee Spurling.
Yes?
Trustee Lee.
Yes.
And Trustee Heinz.
Awesome. Meeting to order, back to order, and entertain a motion to approve, or to adjourn.
Second.
Sorry.
Trustee Heinz. Trustee Youngerman.
Yay.
Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
Trustee Bond.
Yes.
Trustee Spurling.
Yes.
And Trustee Lee.
Yes.
And we're adjourned. Thank you.